Hey, my name is Zianni and I'm a multi-season challenger player. Today we're going to be discussing mythic items for Mage's Mid. Which mythic is the best and how do we determine that based on each game? All 4 mythics we'll be discussing are going to be on screen as you can see. Starting off we have the iconic Ludens Tempest. This item is extremely strong for early game as it offers upfront burst damage and magic penetration. Flat penetration is more valuable the more you have as the value increases the less MR the target has, which makes it pair nicely with Sorcerer's Shoes. This allows you to spike very hard in the early game and have a big impact on the map if you're playing towards early objectives or skirmishes. The Mythic passive empowers your legendary items with 5 magic penetration. Penetration builds are best against squishy champions or compositions that struggle to build magic resist. This item is ideal for snowballing and maximum burst damage. However, there are glaring issues with this item. The primary issue being the gold breakpoints. Gold breakpoints are the amount of gold required to reset for an item purchase. Ludens in particular is one of the hardest mythics to itemize due to the recipe cost and the blasting wand component. If you fail to reset with 850 gold or 1050 gold for the recipe cost, you're not getting any stronger. If you buy something else, you're delaying your mythic purchase entirely. This is especially difficult for lower elo players, making this item sometimes inconsistent. They're not always tracking how much gold they're recalling with, or sometimes they just die without getting to that specific gold value. It's important to note that magic resist itemization is also at its peak right now. Your flat penetration could be mitigated if the enemy's smart or playing pretty much meta champions. Ludens also has no HP, making you a true glass cannon, which leads to very inconsistent gameplay. However, Ludens has the highest min-max potential for raw damage output, making it extremely good for snowballing if you're a confident player. Next is Liandrys Anguish. This item offers the maximum DPS potential if you're able to efficiently use the passive effect in fights. It also does extremely good into tanks due to its percentage max health burn and ramping damage based on bonus health. This item doesn't have as much upfront damage as Ludens, but instead rewards extended trading. The longer the fight goes on, the more you're able to apply damage through the Torment effect. This is why Liandrys is extremely good against bruisers and shorter range teams, where you can consistently reapply it. The Mythic passive empowers your legendary items with 5 ability haste. This item is ideal against tankier compositions, or if your champion naturally fits into the playstyle of extended combat. In comparison to Ludens, Liandrys is much easier to itemize with the components being more affordable. Instead of a blasting wand at 850, you instead have an amp tome and an upgrade for that amp tome being 435 and 465. This means if you mess up and you have a bad reset, you still have an item you can purchase and it's all good. The problem with this mythic is that it lacks raw damage early game. While your DPS is in fact increased, your burst damage takes a significant hit from losing the penetration. This could be the difference between one-shotting an important carry or them getting away. Additionally, the burn effect is unique, which means your team can't build more than one without losing damage. Otherwise, Liandrys is an extremely consistent item that is technically playable from any position, but sometimes you just have to recognize the value of burst damage over extended DPS. Moving on to the survivability items, Everfrost is one of the most consistent items in the game in terms of balancing raw survivability and damage. The reason why this item is so insane is due to the gold breakpoints. The item is 400 gold cheaper than Liandrys or Ludens while also being composed entirely of cheap items. This gives you access to HP in harder matchups or just raw damage from stacking tomes. The active effect is a snare which can also guarantee your entire combo on champions like Veigar, Ahri, Taliyah. The active effect also has a 30% AP ratio compared to Ludens' 10%. The Mythic passive also grants plus 10 AP for every legendary. This item is ideal against assassins or shorter range teams, while also enabling your own gameplay. You're essentially trading damage for utility. If your team isn't lacking damage, Everfrost is an extremely good item for setting up your teammates. The major issue with this item is the damage. While it makes your trading more consistent, there is a significant loss in raw damage unless your champion just requires you to land your combo to succeed. At which point, then yeah, okay, just go Everfrost. That could be the difference between one-shotting someone or being 200 damage off. If you're the only source of damage, Everfrost probably won't be enough. Finally, we have Crown of the Shattered Queen. This item's sole purpose is to not die at the cost of damage. It's the same HP value as Everfrost, but the passive effect is specifically for preventing damage or forcing people to stagger their combos. Fortunately, this item is also 400 gold cheaper than Ludens or Liandrys, while having extremely good gold breakpoints. The passive effect prevents 75% of damage for 1.5 seconds. This essentially forces the enemy to stagger their abilities or play around the shield in teamfights, or just give you too much respect. The Mythic passive grants plus 8 AP and 1% move speed for every legendary. This item is ideal against assassins and teams with lots of pick or burst potential. I will pretty much only build Crown into double assassin mid and jungle, or if my team is massively succeeded and I'm just kind of the target that they're bullying. The major issue with this item, besides the huge hit to your damage output, is that you're letting your teammates take the wheel away from you. There's nothing wrong with building this item in ideal situations, since you're countering the enemy's win condition. For example, if you're playing a scaling mage into something like a Zed Town, they want to kill you to snowball, but if you build Kindle Gem and then build in the Crown, it makes it significantly harder for them to find opportunities to get free gold by killing you. It's just that some players have a tendency to build this item without a valid reason. It's cool to not die, but if you are playing your champion super passively and making it harder to fulfill your champion archetype, you're pretty much actively crippling yourself and relying on your team to make up for that damage loss. If you're afraid to make mistakes, you're going to be afraid to learn. Put yourself in a position to grow or get better. Please only build Crown if it is situationally correct. Don't just build it as a crutch item. To recap, Ludens is ideal for single damage source carries or early game impact. It's great into squishy teams or when you need enough damage to burst a carry. Liandrys is pretty much always good but lacks the raw damage for snowballing. It's great against tankier compositions or health stacking champions. Everfrost is a great blend of survivability and damage for skill shot based champions. While it lacks raw damage, it makes up for that in spades with utility, while giving you more health to work with. Crown is a crutch item that is only good into multiple assassins. The key here is multiple. If you're getting absolutely bodied, I don't mind if you build Crown into one assassin or if it's like a Fez. The issue is that you can very easily build a damage mythic and then build Zhonya second without completely fucking your damage. The reason why this is because the whole point of assassins is that they're weakest from level 1 through 5. And if you are playing a burst mage or even just a control mage, you can still easily win lane phase and then pivot into survivability. But if you go full survivability, you might be playing too passively. All other AP mythics don't have mana and are usually built on resourceless champions or top lane champs like Gwyn, Kayle, Mordekaiser, or Gragas. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. If you like the video, just like it, subscribe, I appreciate it, and I hope you all guys have a fantastic night.